This is the Energy to Thrive podcast, episode number 001 with guest Melissa Kathryn. All links and resources you hear in this episode can be found by going to jenniferpowder.com/001.
Welcome to the Energy to Thrive podcast with weight loss and fitness expert Jennifer Powder. Join her each week as she delves into the world of health and what it really takes to create true transformation in your life, both physical and emotional. Through her messages and interviews with special guests, you'll be inspired to live healthier, happier, and hotter lives. Here's your host, a woman who's real, totally transparent, and gets to the heart of the matter, Jennifer Powder.
Hey everybody, thank you so much for tuning in to Energy to Thrive, my podcast, and I'm so excited to be here with Melissa Kathryn. Hi, Melissa.
Hi guys. Oh my God, it's so good to be here.
I know. So Melissa and I have to share a little bit because we are not just colleagues, we're also really good friends. And so we've been talking a little bit before this interview started, and we're super excited to just kind of get down and dirty into the world of diets and why the no diet is actually the way to go. And Melissa's going to be sharing a lot of her expertise. She's, I'm so proud of you. Like, she's a dear friend, and she's also this amazing weight loss and emotional eating expert. She's an author. She just published her book called Eating Right or Eat Right for Your Archetype, which you can find on Amazon. We'll have links to all of this in the show notes below, or if you're watching on YouTube, you'll see it in the description. So there's going to be lots of ways for you to access Melissa and get her wisdom. But Melissa, what I want to do just to set the stage for our interview is just to have you share a bit about your story and why you're so passionate about the work that you do.
Yeah, so you and I have both been in that fitness realm, but I essentially started dieting when I was 10 years old. Yeah. And I wrote in my diary that I didn't like the way that I looked. I said I wanted to lose 10 pounds. And from there, and that really came, and my mom would introduce me to everybody as being her big bone daughter. And big bone to me meant fat. And so I say this to my mom now, and my mom's like my best friend, and I love her so much. She didn't mean anything by it. When she talked, she's like, well, I just thought you were. And I'm like, we didn't have to identify me that way, right? But when we're young and impressionable, and at any stage, especially women in our bodies, so much of our self-worth is tied to the way that we look. Yeah. And we start comparing ourselves at a very young age to our friends. And I had curves. I have more muscular legs. I have curves. I just do, and I love them.
Yes.
But, when I was 10, 11, 12, up to 14, I wanted to look like my friends. And I got my period when I was 11. So I developed earlier than everybody else. And so what really happened for me was I created this story that my weight was my struggle and that I was fat. And so I wore things tied around my waist.
Yeah.
Ever. I looked ridiculous. I would have a bathing suit on, and then I'd wear those bathing suit like swimming shorts. And I was never more than 10, 15 pounds tops overweight. And then I'd wear like an anorak tied around my waist. It almost it brought more attention to it. And it was probably so embarrassing because it would be, I grew up on the East Coast, so it gets super hot in the summer. It'd be like 95, and I'd have this long sleeve thing tied around my waist because I was so uncomfortable in my own skin. And what that really did was, I just went from diet to diet to diet. And so there's two camps that I really say that I lived in. I was either hating myself skinny or hating myself fat. And hating myself skinny was when if I didn't fit in my size 2s and I hadn't worked out that day, then it was a bad day. And, there was all of this dieter's prison that I had created around myself. And it really was a prison because, I would have friends going like, oh, we're going to go watch Sunday football. And I was like, oh, I don't want to be there and eat all that food. And then I'm going to miss my workout and I need to wake up for my workout tomorrow. It's like 23 years old, like calm down,
Yeah.
And there was, I've tried every diet. And then there was the hating myself fat, which is when I would have a few pounds on or 5-10 pounds and be yo-yoing. And I would feel bad about myself and be in that emotional eating cycle where I would actually stay in because I didn't feel good in my body and I didn't feel good being seen. And it was all around my weight. And I had body dysmorphia, so it didn't matter how much weight for anybody listening, if they're like 5, 10 pounds, like I have 50 pounds or what have you,
Yeah.
it doesn't matter because in my mind, I still had a body and I had mentally made myself wrong because of the way that I looked. And so essentially I spent years and years dieting. And it wasn't until I was actually a fitness trainer, went back to school to be a holistic nutritionist. And I was the image of health and I thought I was super healthy. And I was a fitness competitor and I stood on stage and I won best body in the national, it's the INBF in New York. And I sat there and in front of my mom, I'm like practically naked and I'm holding this giant trophy. And within 6 months, I had sabotaged myself and eaten the weight back on.
So you know what's amazing is that I love, like, for people listening or watching, it's to hear these stories, right? Because I find that sometimes if people don't know the backstory and they see you or they, see me and they think, oh, athlete, this is so easy for you. You have no idea. There's so much compassion and empathy that I know you have for women who are in this space because you've been there. And that is so different than like the 20-year-old trainer in the gym telling some 35 or 40 or 50-year-old woman, just to work out a little harder, right? There's not a lot of understanding about the emotional issues.
That kills me when I see this in the gym and they're just standing over somebody and the person is like working out looking like they want to die. I'm like, why? Like,
yeah.
No, and that's something that I hear from my clients, and it doesn't matter if they're 20 to 65 and what range, whether it's fearing food, overeating, emotional eating, being a chronic dieter, being obsessed with exercise. Like I can relate on every level because start doing that at 10, you've got a lot of experience. And so.
Well, I think, and like this interview is touching my heart right now because my daughter just started at a new school. She's 7. And the other night when we were going to bed, she was getting ready for bed and she looked at me and she said, Mommy, why is my tummy so fat? And she said, I'm fat. The girl today at school said I was fat. And I sort of felt this rage inside, right? Yeah. And then she started talking about how she wants to have plastic surgery. And I thought, Jesus, you're 7 years old. Like, if we don't start to change the collective health of women, what are we going to do? And so what we want to talk about today is, how what do you do? Like for women who are in this place, who feel like they're in that emotional eating cycle where they know better, but feel like they can't do better, or they do better for a bit and then they fall off the wagon, right? Like take me through some of your, processes or tools that you share with your clients in terms of like, how do you calm the crazy around this? And really, what is the no diet diet?
So
lots of questions in there.
Yes. I'm like, the calming the crazy is so tricky because I always say the minute you say yes to a diet, you disconnect from yourself.
Yeah.
You stop trusting your body to, we were born and ran around as kids and our body weight naturally regulated, and we ate when we were hungry and stopped when we were full, unless parents pushed food on us. But for that window, and so when we say yes to a diet, so every time we go on a diet, we get to a point where, I'll speak to women. I go, why do you eat the way that you do? Why are you eating 5 times a day? Why are you stopping eating at 6 o'clock at night? Yeah. Why is it that you have so much protein, or why are you a vegan, or what? And more times than not, it's not because it's what their body wants. It's because they read that they should.
Yeah.
And it's those very restrictions that lead to the binges. And when I say binge, I'm not talking about like, oh, it's you with like, because a lot of people go, okay, I don't really binge. It's just overeating. Yeah. Are you eating past full? That's really, you are now putting your body in a space where you are using food for more than fuel. And that's when it's becomes an unhealthy relationship. And the thing that I see is, and I ask, and this is for everybody on the call, you'll know what I'm talking about because I always say where there's lack, you'll fill the gaps with food.
Yes. Oh, we are so the same on this one. What are you really hungry for, right?
Right, exactly. And the thing that happens is when we go through somebody's life, and my approach is holistic, we're looking at your whole life as a pie, because it's never just about food. It's never just about fitness. It's where are you in terms of your love life? Where are you in terms of your family life, your career, your spirituality, your creativity, your sex life? Are you expressed? Like, all of those things. And where is lack, those gaps, and those gaps are when food takes on truly human form.
Yeah.
And that was the hardest thing for me. I realized food was my best friend. I had to divorce food. And we went back again. We had a little bit of an affair. Like,
you can't ever really end it, though, because we have to have food to eat. This is what's so different compared to drugs or cigarettes or gambling or these other addictions that we can use to numb in our life. Food, we need it to survive. And so I think that's what the trick is in terms of recultivating a new relationship is you can't escape it. So how do you shift it?
And so this is what I do with women in my year-long Weight Loss for Life program, because I'm sorry, but it takes a year. It truly, you cannot undo a lifetime of making yourself wrong, not trusting yourself, being afraid of your food choices. Because if you have foods that are off limits, that if they're in your home and you're going to go crazy and you can't, then you haven't healed that relationship with that food.
Yeah.
And it will always hang over you. So the very first thing to do is to identify the gaps. What's missing in your life? Where are the areas where you're not totally filled up? Because wherever you're not, you're going to find food, because food's going to be there for you when you're lonely. A lot of women, it's the escape at night. Mm-hmm. Oh my God, everybody's away. Many women, I get on the phone, they're like, my husband doesn't even know that once he goes to bed, I go to the fridge.
Yeah.
Or the kids go to sleep and then it's mommy time. And and it's not even that mommy doesn't need the food. Mommy just needs a break. Yeah. Mommy needs some pleasure, but she doesn't want to go to bed because this is her only window. Because then she has to get up and do it all over again.
Oh, that's so it. And I find that the patterns, like, habits, right? Sometimes when we want to break, we'll get a glass of wine, or we'll get some chips or a bowl of ice cream. Then pretty soon the break equals have wine, have ice cream. And we start to blend what we need with food. Do you find that with your clients?
Always.
Yeah.
So the first things that I say, if you can do this, is for 14 days, do an eat what's on your plate challenge. You've got 3 meals a day. Really see if you need those snacks.
Yeah.
Sit down and have your breakfast. Only what's on your plate. You can eat whatever you want. I'm not talking about within normal portions, guys. Yeah. This isn't like, oh my God, I can eat like waffles and then we're going to throw some sausage and some like it's eat what's on your plate though. This isn't going back for seconds. You're not grazing. Notice and have a journal with you. Notice between breakfast and lunch, where are you apt to go into that pattern?
Yeah.
Where is it that you're uncomfortable at work, or the kids are screaming, or something's happening, or you have to do a project that you don't want to do, or you have to clean or do laundry, or right?
Okay, so I'm going to ask a hard question, because I'm going to take myself back to when I was in this place and there were some like real serious things going on in my life, but it was a lot more enjoyable to eat or to drink wine than it was to face my stuff. So how do you... Right? Always. So how do you get the courage, or how do you start to do that? How do you start to be willing to admit?
See, so funny you said this. I just posted to my group today and I said, ladies, you're on a journey that very rare, like only a few women are okay being on, because it's so uncomfortable.
It's so uncomfortable. Yeah.
It is. But the coolest thing is, okay, so you were saying, how do we actually do that?
Yeah. Like, how do you get for me, I had to hit some like rock bottom places, like feeling really fat, having one pair of fat pants, hating how I look naked, hating not being in pictures. I've got no memories captured of my kids and I was in denial that my marriage was falling apart. That can be a hard thing to face.
Yep.
Right?
And then, hands down. So then we're eating, right? Because of all those things. Then all of a sudden you wake up one day and you go, how did I get here?
Yeah.
How is this my body?
Yeah.
And then see, looking back at you doesn't even feel like you.
Oh,
and then, like, I don't even want to dress this. And then you hear people like me and like you and other people that are going, well, just get outside and accept who you are and put on, like, I hear this one all the time, put on some lipstick and it will, and and I understand it, right? Yeah. Because it's about when you start to fill those, going back to the gaps thing, when you do start to fill that with pleasure, you actually start living your life now for you instead
Yes.
of who you are waiting to be, that feels like an eternity to get there. So that's one. So shifting that mindset. Two, really get clear. And a big thing that happens is we have to get so sick of our story
Oh my
and
God, so sick
suffering
of it. Yes.
that then you're just like, oh, for fuck's sake, excuse my language, but like I can't even hear myself anymore.
Yeah.
How many times am I going to say I'm going to start a diet, or how many times am I going to
Yes.
tell somebody else, oh, I just put on some weight and I'm just not feeling like no one wants to hear, like you get sick of yourself. That's a beautiful turning point.
Yeah.
And that's really when, when you see people and you go, so what did you do that shifted? And it's like, they got that click. That's like, I'm so done being me. So if you're sitting there listening to this and go, okay, well, I'm so done, but I don't seem to be changing. What you want to do is this. You want to wake up each day and set a clear intention for actually who it is you want to be.
Yes.
And say it as if you're her now.
I'm going to jump in because what happens, I knew so clearly who I didn't want to be. Like, I did not see myself as this frumpy 30-something mother of two. Like, I'm like, who the hell am I? So I knew what I didn't want, but I did have to sort of consciously retrain my brain to think about who do I want to be? So that is a really key question that you're bringing up, Melissa.
Yeah, so you have to, and start, like Jen said, like that's so brilliant, is start with, okay, what don't I want? If you feel like so disconnected from you,
Yeah.
start with what don't I want? And then go, okay, if you have a friend, if there's a look, and don't just focus on the exterior. I'm talking about the woman that you want to be, because that woman's inside of you. That's you that is you.
Yeah.
And that's what we start to lose. And that's when we lose hope, because we keep focusing on what we see in the mirror. The woman that you want to be, that's you at your core. You don't want to be her. You are her. You just lost her along the way.
Oh, I say that. I love that. That's like a tweetable, right? Yeah, and so one of the things I say so much, or I remember saying to myself so often was like, where have I gone? I just want to find myself again. And I did. And like you also said another word that I want to talk about, which is the word hope. Because so many women who have done it all, whatever it's drops, what is it? Dr. Bernstein, we have in Canada, I know you're in the States, all the diets, the restrictions, the caloric deprivation, they feel like they've done it all. And so you start to lose hope, right? That this is just going to be the way. A permanent failure. And it's like the most personal failure because you can be kicking ass in every other aspect of your life. And yet this personal thing, you can't get a handle on. And God, it's frustrating. And so what's so great to have somebody like you in this space is to be that model of, no, there is hope, right? You might think you've done it all, but you never have, because usually there's going to be ways that you're sabotaging yourself that you're not even aware of. Let's talk about that.
So often too is how much, like when I talk to women and I go, okay, and they're like, but Melissa, I'm doing everything. I don't understand what's going on. And then I go, in 7 days, have you gone to bed proud each night? Have you eaten in alignment with your body and been connected? Did you make a point of just moving? I'm not talking about going to a boot camp.
Yeah.
I'm just talking about like being connected with yourself.
Yeah.
Anything, moving more. And they'll go, well, I mean, no, there were about 2 nights. And because in your mind, you're on a diet forever. But how much are you actually showing up for you? And here's the best part about it. The no diet is when you're actually connected to yourself and in a space of love for you and eating for fuel. And I'm not saying I don't have food isn't pleasurable for me, but of course it is. I make meals, but I see it as fuel. Okay, I'm eating my breakfast because I've got all this going on until this time.
Yeah.
And all this going on. And at night, I want to make sure that I'm eating for optimal fuel for my body so that I can wake up and I work out in the morning. Like I think in that way of how can I give to this being, right? And so I think that's like a piece where there's this connotation around, since you've dieted for so long, that eating healthy doesn't taste good.
Yes.
It's a lot of work. You don't have the time or the energy for it. You're too busy. And since it has been from depriving, you're not going to have a life. You have to do workouts you don't enjoy. Like there's all of these things around it that keep women in these stories that hold them back.
Totally. And I love that you break and bust those myths down because it's not true, right? Like it's not true. But when you're and here's the thing that I find that so many times is when we've had the experience of failure, well, then we grab on to all of the reasons why we failed and we just keep seeing those and that becomes our justification.
That's evidence.
Yes.
We're like, see, I'm a failure. See, it doesn't work.
Yeah.
And then I hear women going, it must be my hormone. I think something's wrong. Do I have leaky gut? And I'm like, we just need to
leaky gut, hormones. I'm getting too old. It's menopause. I must be every kind of food sensitivity possible. Like we start to make weight loss so complicated. And it always just go back to the basics. And the thing is, everyone feels like, oh, and women will say, Melissa, this is too easy. Yeah.
They'll sabotage. They'll go, this is too easy. I don't know. It's happening. It's because it's like we have something crazy as females that everything needs to be really hard.
Oh yeah. If it's hard, then I'm worthy because I'm struggling.
Right? Like, and it's the same thing with our bodies and our weight. It's like, and I'm like, that's the way it's supposed to feel. Like it's food. Like you aren't supposed to have to think about it all the time.
Well, and this is, okay, I'm sorry to jump in, but you said something just before that I thought was, I want to come back to it because I do think it's really relevant and powerful. And I think that food has become so confusing. And when you talk about food as fuel, right, that's exactly what it is. But food as fuel can still be the things that you're saying, tasty and social and enjoyable. What I find now is food isn't fuel. Food is a social experience, and it's like I said to somebody the other day, like, why do you go meet your girlfriends after work? Is it just so you can have the nachos? And they're like, well, no, I like to see them and hang out, we talk and we laugh. I'm like, right, so you're there primarily for connection, right? Yes. To create friendship and to strengthen those bonds and to feel supported. The food is secondary. Maybe it's even like way further down the list, right? But we forget that. And it sounds like you do a lot of work to remind your clients that that's just not the way it is.
It's not. And well, food's taken it's front and center stage. And yet it's the very thing that dieters are battling with internally, but it's the driving force. So it's like, oh, well, I can't not go out. So it's really when you have to go, okay. And there's also this notion that, oh, okay, well, if I really want to lose weight, I'm going to have to give up this social life.
Yeah.
And it's not, it is a lifestyle. And it always fascinates me when people go, well, Melissa, like, what do you eat on a menu? Or how can you eat here? Like, I still get that from my family sometimes. And I'm like, guys, I've been with you everywhere. I can eat anything. And I also eat whatever I want when I want it.
Yes.
Like, I can order at any restaurant. I mean, the ones that are trickier for me, I just took dairy out because I healed myself of asthma, and I prefer breathing than cheese for me. But French food can be challenging. Other than that, like, I'll go anywhere.
Yeah.
It doesn't. But I sit there and I'm like, guys, there's always healthy things. And they're like, well, it's just too tempting. It's this and it's that. And I'm like, that's just because you, again, are still coming from restriction, that you're making it, oh, this is my night out. Like, that's, when people overeat on the weekends, it's because they've restricted all week.
All week.
Just eat during the week.
Tell me what your concept is of the words like cheat days or cheat meals. What's your... Yeah, I can tell by your face. So if you're listening to the podcast, her face is priceless. It's the
Kill
same.
me.
Yeah.
What are you you're cheating on yourself? How is that sustainable?
Yeah.
Do you know what I see? People make like a cheat day, then that's why that like intermittent fasting, I would always get, what do you think about intermittent fasting? I'm like, what do you think about just eating, like taking on the concept of possible clean eating, where we're actually just eating like foods closest to their natural state that are normal, like in that realm.
Yeah.
Where you actually know what you're putting into your body.
I asked because you talk about self-sabotage, and that is one of the most, like, the primary ways that I see women sabotage is they do, the typical, I do really great Monday to Friday, and then I don't know what happens on the weekend. Well, and in their mind, they've got permission built in around these cheat meals or cheat days, and it becomes the caloric consumption of the previous week where all their healthy choices have now been negated.
Their entire day, I've had women that like they've mapped out their Saturday and Sunday, and it all involves food stops. It's like they're on their own food, like, it upsets me just because it sets them up for such failure.
Such failure.
And many believe that that's their only way to be, that if they'll do that for a while and then they fall off and they're like, no, that was really working for me.
Yeah.
I'm like, but it didn't.
Yeah.
Because if you're eating in a way that isn't sustainable for the next 3 months, 3 years, then you are like, if you're eating in a way that you're not going to want to do, and working out in a way that you're not going to want to do, that's not going to last.
Exactly. So why do you think it is that we are very much in the same industry and have very similar messages? So why do you think that, knowing that there's so many health coaches coming into the industry, what is the pervasiveness, or how did this pervasive messaging get such dominant prominence in culture for women about weight loss is hard? Like, what has happened, do you think?
Yeah. Well, I think it's because, one, I think a lot of women saw their mother struggle.
Yes.
Or family members. I think it gets put on you at a young age. I mean, I'm the big bone daughter. I was brought to Weight Watchers.
Yeah, I've got a lot of clients and Weight Watchers when they were in teenage years. It's crazy.
And and then later on I went to Weight Watchers, and I know the point. I still know the points to everything because it's so patterned in your brain.
Yeah.
And so I think that's one cause. Family dynamic. I think another is society and what gets put out there. When you were talking about your daughter, that's a very real thing. This plastic surgery thing that's going on, the diets, the Snapchat, there's so much that we can go into with young kids and
we'll save that for a different interview because I think we'll have this conversation again. But absolutely, that's another conversation.
Yeah, I mean, that one that breaks my heart to no end. And I'm on a plate to shift that and get and do work in that now. I go into schools now and it breaks my heart. And the other thing is, there's that concept around similar to what, when we get told something about our bodies and you aren't strong enough in who you are, right? it ends up, like I said, it turns into your story.
Yeah.
And one of the very first things that I do with clients is I say, what are your stories? And we're releasing them now and writing a new one.
Yeah.
Because those stories are what will define you and will set up your limitations. And the only limitations that exist are the ones that we allow. And so
say that again, because that's actually a really great. Just say it one more time.
Yeah, this is one of my mantras.
Yeah, I love it.
The only limitations that exist are the ones that we allow.
Yeah.
Because and we listen, there's no difference between any of us and somebody that's rocking it, that's a multimillionaire, that's got the body they want, that's got the love, it's their belief that they're deserving and worthy of it, and they had a vision for it. And so going back, like I'm going to go full circle to something when you had asked me earlier about like, what are some things like that you can do in the morning, like, or do just to set yourself up for success. And we got onto that conversation about hope and the intention.
Yeah. Great. Certainly.
Thank you. No, I was just, you and I can keep going, but
I know.
I think this is a great tidbit for your audience is you have to have a vision and see it each day. And this does not need to take, so anybody that's going, I can't add anything else to my morning. You can take like 2 minutes or 5 minutes in the morning to set an intention, close your eyes, breathe deep, and have a vision and just say, what do I want for myself? And let me see it happening. And whatever the negative things that come in, wash them out. Give yourself that gift because the subconscious mind does not know the difference between a dream and what's real. Mm-hmm. So make your reality freaking fantastic. Right?
Exactly. And I think that what's so great is when there's people like you who have gone through the challenges that you've gone through, who have maybe had upbringings with that mom or that family member who you adore, but who has had some imprinting on you at an early age. And then
Thunderfire, you name it.
Right. And then to see you now here, right? Healthy, whole, happy, confident in your body, feeling good, clearly glowing, then I do think that inspires hope. Because if you can do it, right? It's like if you can do it.
Guys, yes, if I can do this, and there's things that I'm not even sharing with my story here. If I can do this, you can do this. I am no different than you.
Yeah.
Neither of us are.
Yeah.
And, it's just we got to another side of something that you're struggling with right now. So now we can share.
Well, and what I say, like I was just talking to another client too, and even right now, like you don't have to do it alone, right? Like that's exactly, like you don't have to do it alone. And women, for some reason, we'll go see financial planners. We'll go get our nails done by a specialist. We'll see somebody for our hair. We'll get our massages by somebody that's a specialist. But with health and with food, we somehow think that we should know it all or be able to do it on our own. And I think it's the biggest myth out there. I really do.
All the time. There's a lot of guilt and shame that women have. Like, I should have this figured out and I should be able to do this. Take the shoulds out of it.
Yeah.
And also take all the craziness. So if you're one of those people and you're on this call right now and you're reading 50 blogs and you're on all of these sites and you're buying this program and listening to this podcast, just implement 1 or 2 things from today. Just say, I'm only going to do those 1 or 2 things for 30 days.
Yeah.
Will have changed. Change doesn't happen when you're in overwhelm, when you have too much information. You don't do anything with it. But you'll notice the people that are most successful, like literally are like, I read a book and it changed my life because they literally just read that book and did everything in that book.
Well, and that's another way women sabotage, right? They don't just follow one plan. They pick apart 10 different diets. They follow 10 different blogs. They're trying to go paleo but only have green smoothies. And, they've got...
or when it stops working or they don't think it's working as much, they jump to another one instead of seeing it through.
So let's talk about ways people can find out more about you because... I adore you. I think everybody should know about the work that you do. I want you to be able to tell my listeners where they can go because I know that you've got a Conquer Your Cravings PDF that's really helpful. Maybe share how they can get that.
So there's a link below. It's my Conquer Your Cravings kit.
Awesome.
This helps you to identify your emotions and how they're linked to foods and actually gives you the steps to get around them. So it's broken down into a head craving and a heart craving. And you'll easily be able to go, oh, okay, wow, I have a little bit of both, but I'm definitely this one. And it gives you 4 simple questions and action steps to do. So there's a video and there's 2 worksheets that you'll get.
So it's awesome, right? I've taken a look at it. I adore it. I think it's amazing. So you want to make sure that you grab that as well. We'll have all of the links below in the show notes to find Melissa on Facebook. You're on everything, right? Facebook, Instagram. We've got your website, melissakathryn.com.
Primarily Facebook and Instagram. Yeah.
Where you're at right now? Okay,
yeah.
cool.
At Radiance today.
Yay. Well, I know. Thank you. I have a feeling you'll be back on so we can continue the talk around perhaps younger children and moms and that relationship with mother-daughter love and health. But anything else you need my listeners to know before they're done listening to our podcast today?
No, just thank you so much for being here. And just remember that if it's something that you want, it's meant for you. And the person that you desire to be is already you.
Awesome. Couldn't have said that better myself. So if you're listening, please make sure you go back to iTunes, rate the podcast. If you like it, a thumbs up and a shout out is never a bad thing. It just creates good karma in the world. And be sure to share. If there's women in the world that you know, friends, colleagues, family members that you know can benefit from hearing this message, just pop the link onto your Facebook page and share the interview. Because the more women that get empowered with this, I think the better off we're going to be in the world. I think women are amazing. And it's women like Melissa who inspire me. So thank you for being on as my guest today.
Thank you for having me. And you're going to be on mine.
Yay. So we'll get about that. Thanks for listening, everybody. Have a super rest of your day.